Imagine a warm, fluffy loaf of bread, fresh out of the oven, its crust crackling gently as it cools. This isn't just any bread, it's traditional Irish soda bread, a staple of the Emerald Isle. Now, what sets the Irish soda bread apart, you might wonder? It's the simplicity. The beauty of this bread lies in its humble ingredients: flour, baking soda, salt, and buttermilk. No fuss, no frills, yet when these ingredients come together, they create a bread that's delightfully unique in taste and texture. Irish soda bread has a rich history that dates back to the mid-19th century. The advent of baking soda in Ireland led to the birth of this bread. It was an affordable solution for people to make their own bread at home without the need for yeast or an oven. A hot griddle or a pot over an open fire was all it took, and this ease of making is what made it a household staple. While most breads boast of their softness, the Irish soda bread takes pride in its dense yet tender crumb and a crusty exterior that provides a satisfying crunch. It's this contrast that makes every bite of this bread a delightful experience. But the charm of the Irish soda bread isn't confined to its taste alone. It's a significant part of the Irish culture, a symbol of home and comfort. It's the bread that grandmothers make with their grandchildren, passing down the recipe from generation to generation. It's the bread that's shared with neighbors and loved ones, fostering a sense of community. It's the bread that's baked for special occasions, celebrating life's simple joys. And the best part, you don't need to travel to Ireland to enjoy this bread. You can bring a slice of the Emerald Isle right to your kitchen, no matter where you are in the world. All you need are 4 simple ingredients and a little bit of time. So, are you ready to bring a slice of Ireland to your kitchen? Let's dive right into the recipe. First things first, gather all the ingredients you'll need. This Irish bread recipe is a simple one, but its beauty lies in the quality and freshness of the ingredients. Our primary ingredient is flour, the backbone of our bread. It provides the structure and is the canvas upon which our other ingredients will paint their flavors. Next up, we have baking soda. This is our leavening agent, the ingredient that will help our bread rise and become light and fluffy. Then we have salt, which is essential to enhance the flavors of our bread and provide the perfect balance. Last but definitely not least is our buttermilk. This ingredient is the secret weapon of Irish bread, giving it its distinctive tangy taste and tender crumb. Remember, for the best result, always opt for fresh and high-quality ingredients. Now that we have everything we need, it's time to start baking. Start by preparing the dry ingredients. The heart of any bread lies in the union of its dry ingredients. For our Irish bread, we'll be using flour, baking soda, and a pinch of salt. Flour, naturally, forms the structure of our bread. The baking soda, on the other hand, is our leavening agent, giving our bread that delightful rise. And of course, the salt is there to enhance all the flavors. So, let's dive right in. Take a large bowl, the larger, the better. You'll want plenty of room for mixing without spilling. Into this bowl, pour in the flour. The flour forms the base of our dough and is like the canvas to our bread masterpiece. Next, introduce the baking soda and salt to the flour. But here's the thing, you don't want to just dump them in. Sprinkle them evenly across the surface of the flour. This is important because we want these ingredients to be distributed evenly throughout our dough. Uneven distribution could lead to parts of the bread rising more than others, or areas that are excessively salty. Now, it's time to mix. You could use a spoon, but I recommend using your hands. There's something almost therapeutic about feeling the ingredients mingle and blend beneath your fingertips. Plus, it gives you a better feel for the distribution. As you mix, make sure to lift the flour from the bottom, flip it over, and stir it around. You're aiming for a homogeneous mixture where the baking soda and salt are virtually indistinguishable from the flour. It should all look like one uniform powder. Remember, patience is key. Mixing dry ingredients isn't just about combining them, it's about setting the stage for the perfect loaf of bread. So, take your time, enjoy the process, and make sure everything is well integrated. With our dry ingredients mixed, we're ready to add in the buttermilk. And that, my friends, is when the real magic begins. But that's a tale for the next scene. For now, revel in the satisfaction of having perfectly mixed your dry ingredients and get ready for the next step in our Irish bread journey. The magic ingredient in Irish soda bread is buttermilk. This tangy, creamy liquid is about to elevate our bread to new heights. Now, we're going to introduce the buttermilk to our dry ingredients. Pour it in gently, enveloping the flour mixture with its rich creaminess. As you start to mix, do so with a light hand. We're aiming to form a soft dough, not overwork it. This gentle touch is key to keeping our bread light and airy. Now here's where the real magic happens. The acidity in the buttermilk reacts with the baking soda already in our mix. This reaction creates tiny bubbles of carbon dioxide, giving our bread its distinctive texture. It's a little like a science experiment right in your kitchen. Buttermilk is not just an ingredient. It's the life of our loaf, the catalyst that transforms simple flour into delicious crumbly bread. With our dough ready, it's time to shape the loaf. Shaping the dough is an important step in making Irish soda bread. This is where you'll begin to see your creation come to life. With the dough mixed and ready, we'll move on to giving it a form that's as pleasing to the eye as it will be to the palate. Begin by lightly dusting your work surface with flour. Turn out the dough onto the surface, then gently knead it a few times to bring it together. Be careful not to overwork it. The beauty of Irish soda bread is in its rustic charm and crumbly texture, which we achieve by handling the dough with care. Now, shape the dough into a round loaf. This isn't about perfection, but about creating a shape that will bake evenly and present well, so don't worry if it's not a perfect circle. As long as it's roundish, you're on the right track. Once you've shaped your loaf, it's time for an important tradition in Irish soda bread making: scoring a cross on top of the dough. This isn't just for aesthetics. The cross actually has a practical purpose. It helps the heat penetrate into the thickest part of the bread, ensuring it cooks evenly. And for those who like a bit of folklore, it's also said to let the fairies out and protect the household. To score the bread, take a sharp knife and cut a line from one side of the dough to the other, about an inch deep. Then do the same in the other direction, creating a cross. And there you have it. A beautifully shaped and scored loaf ready for the oven. Each groove and curve you've created will become golden and crusty, adding to the visual appeal and mouth-watering anticipation. Our loaf is shaped and ready for the oven. Up next, we'll delve into the baking process, where the magic really happens. So, stick around as we continue our journey into the heart of Irish culinary tradition. Now, it's time for the bread to bake and rise beautifully in the oven. Our preheated oven is ready and waiting, set to a robust 400 degrees Fahrenheit. But why such a high temperature, you might wonder? It's simple, really. The intense heat kick-starts the baking soda in our dough, causing it to react with the buttermilk's lactic acid. This reaction results in carbon dioxide gas, which is what gives our Irish soda bread its distinct rise and crumbly texture. Slide your dough into the center of the oven. Ensure it's not too close to the top or the sides, as we want it to bake evenly. Now we play the waiting game. Set your timer for around 45 minutes. This is the perfect duration to allow the bread to bake thoroughly without drying it out or burning the crust. As our bread bakes, it undergoes an enchanting transformation. The heat causes the dough to rise, creating a soft, fluffy interior. Meanwhile, the outside forms a beautiful golden brown crust. This crust will have a slight crunch to it, a perfect contrast to the bread's soft, warm insides. But how will you know when your bread is done? It's all about the tap test. At around the 45-minute mark, take your bread out of the oven and give the bottom a tap. If it sounds hollow, it's done. If not, give it another 5 minutes before testing again. Remember, every oven is different, so your baking time might be slightly different. The key is to keep an eye on your bread and trust your instincts. What should the finished loaf look like, you ask? Well, it should be a rich golden brown color, and it should have risen significantly from when it first went into the oven. The X that we scored into the top of the loaf should be prominent, giving the bread its traditional Irish soda bread appearance. The crust should be firm but not too hard, and the bottom of the loaf should sound hollow when tapped. The aroma that fills your kitchen as this bread bakes is simply divine. It's a warm, comforting scent, one that brings to mind cozy afternoons spent with loved ones, gathered around a hearty meal. It's the scent of home, of tradition, of simple ingredients transforming into something truly special. And there you have it. That's the magic of baking. With just a few simple ingredients and a bit of patience, you've created something beautiful, delicious, and deeply satisfying. There's nothing quite like the feeling of pulling a freshly baked loaf of bread out of the oven, knowing that you made it yourself. After some patient waiting, our Irish soda bread is ready to come out of the oven. And there you have it. Your very own homemade Irish soda bread. Just look at this beauty, fresh out of the oven, radiating a warm, inviting aroma that fills the room. The golden brown crust has a delightful crunch to it, while the inside remains soft and tender. It's a tantalizing contrast of textures that is an absolute joy to bite into. When you tear a piece off, you'll notice the lovely spongy texture, a testament to the perfect balance of ingredients we've achieved. The bread has a slight tanginess from the buttermilk, which is beautifully balanced by the subtle sweetness of the wheat. The crust has a satisfying snap to it, and the inside is wonderfully moist and soft. Now, let's talk about taste. The first bite is a symphony of flavors. There's a rustic wholesomeness to it that's characteristic of traditional Irish soda bread. The buttermilk imparts a slight tang that's beautifully offset by the natural sweetness of the flour. The salt and baking soda come together to give it a wonderful depth of flavor, making each bite a delight to savor. Irish soda bread is incredibly versatile and can be enjoyed in numerous ways. It's perfect just as it is, with a pat of butter melting into its warm, soft crumb. Or you can level up your breakfast game by serving it toasted with a generous spread of jam or honey. It also pairs wonderfully with a slice of sharp cheese or some smoked salmon. And let's not forget, it's the perfect accompaniment to a hearty Irish stew or soup, soaking up all those delicious flavors. So, why not give this recipe a try and bring a taste of Ireland to your table? With its simple ingredients and straightforward process, it's a recipe that anyone can master. And the reward is a loaf of bread that's not just delicious, but also a testament to the beauty of homemade baking. Until next time, happy baking! Before we say goodbye, let's quickly recap the process. It all started with a taste of Ireland, the homeland of our featured recipe today, the traditional Irish bread. We embarked on this journey by gathering the ingredients. Remember, our key ingredients were flour, salt, baking soda, and buttermilk. Simplicity is the essence of this recipe. We then moved on to mixing the dry ingredients, a step that sets the foundation for our bread. We combined the flour, salt, and baking soda, ensuring they were thoroughly mixed. This ensures an even distribution of the baking soda, which is crucial for a well-risen loaf. Next, we introduced buttermilk to our dry mix. The buttermilk's acidity reacts with the baking soda to create carbon dioxide, which helps our bread to rise. The balance between the dry ingredients and the buttermilk is key here. We want a dough that's too sticky to knead but still holds its shape. We then shaped our dough into a round loaf and scored the top. This traditional cross isn't just for looks. It helps the heat reach the center of the loaf, ensuring it cooks evenly. And then the baking. This is where the magic happens. We placed our dough in a preheated oven and waited as it transformed into a beautiful rustic Irish bread. Remember, patience is key here. We want to give it enough time to cook through without drying out. Finally, we revealed the final product, our delicious homemade Irish bread. Warm, with a golden crust and a tender crumb, it's a true testament to the beauty of simple, honest baking. Thank you for joining us on this culinary journey to Ireland. We hope you enjoy making and eating this delicious bread as much as we do. See you in the next video.